Welcome back. Let's talk about influential communications. I'm here with Ty Bennett. He's the author of The Power of Storytelling. He's a motivational speaker and an altogether goal-oriented guy. Ty, welcome.
Hey, thanks
nice to meet you. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Great to have you here. Thanks for coming. Talk about how you got at a relatively youthful age, how you got into this this category that is usually populated by people who've done other things and been really successful. Not that you haven't, but I think a lot of folks have kind of an easy time getting into motivational speaking, and that somebody ghostwrites the book for them and that sort of thing. Talk about your journey and how you got to doing all this stuff at a young age.
I kind of followed that same path. I just started younger. So I started as an entrepreneur when I was 21. My brother Scott and I started a direct sales company together, and he was a lot older. He was 22 at the time. You know,
I see. So he had the benefit of experience.
He had a lot more wisdom for sure. And,
right.
You know, long story short, we jumped in. We worked extremely hard, and we built a business in our 20s that succeeded over $20 million in annual revenue.
Wow.
And so as an entrepreneur, I had success, and in the process of building that business, I spoke for a lot of our conventions. I spoke for a lot of different groups really all around the world, and I found that's what I love to do. It's my passion. I think it's amazing. And so about 3 years ago, I ventured out into the world of professional speaking to sales and leadership organizations, and led me down the road of eventually writing this book, The Power of Storytelling, and it's been a fun experience.
Good for you. Now, were you a performer? When you were young, when you were in school, did you do shows or music or anything like that? Or was this kind of a discovery as far as the love of getting up in front of people? Because most people would rather do anything than that.
They say that people fear death more than they fear speaking, or fear speaking more than fear death, which is just crazy when you think about it. I actually started in my 6th grade play until my voice changed. I think I had a good singing voice, and then it went downhill after that. So I didn't do a lot of theater or anything, but I enjoyed speaking. I was in different leadership programs and had some experience there. I've never feared it, but it was really a discovery for me. You know, it was a talent and a passion that came together in the process of building our business. Very
cool. So talk about kind of the transition from doing the business thing. Obviously, what your day looks like is work, making calls, making sales, developing the business, all that sort of thing. Is this what you're doing full time now? Talk about what it's like today to be doing this.
So I speak for all sorts of different companies, do keynote speeches and sales training, presentation training for a lot of different people. And so if I'm at home, then I'm working on new material, dealing with clients and all the details. If I'm on the road, then I'm giving a speech somewhere, and I'm on the road pretty consistently. So in the process of doing it, I've got a great group that works with me and helps put that all together. And ideally, I'm showing up for the next client totally prepared and ready to give a speech that is going to impact them in whatever capacity it is, whether that's a sales conference or for their management team or whoever I'm speaking to.
And do you ever get the, hey, wait a sec, when you show up, you're so young?
Well, I know it's in the back of everybody's mind, you know, and people ask me all the time, you know, I know we shouldn't ask, but how old are you? I don't have a problem. I'm 31, and I know for me that's an advantage. You know, the average motivational speaker, the typical, is a 50-year-old white male, and I think that makes me stand out. The fact that I've had success at a young age, I think, is a great thing. Because I can share real-world experience and recent real-world experience where we've been involved. I know what really works with people. I talk about how to build influence with people, and I talk about how to share stories in an influential way that moves people, whether that's in a sales capacity, in a leadership capacity, as a speaker, giving any type of presentation as a teacher. And so my material is kind of developed out of my own experience and the feedback that I've got from other people on saying, you know, how do you do that? How did that work? I mean, I really like that. The storytelling idea came from me speaking to a lot of audiences, and the feedback I always got was, you're a great storyteller. And then I had people ask me if I would coach them on speaking. And so I had to figure out, well, how did I put this together? What do I do? They liked just my way of presenting and said, how can you teach me how to do that? And so I started to dissect storytelling and the way that I put presentations together and figure out how I could teach that so that people could take those tangible ideas and apply them themselves.
my favorite quote that I've never heard put in exactly this way before, but is absolutely 100% my philosophy that I have never stated in such a way, but I agree with you 100%, and I think this is a great one for our viewers, and that is, it is more important to be interested than interesting. And of course, sitting in this chair, that's my job, is to be interested in you and every guest, and it's not about me, it's about the guest. So in a way, it's, you know, it's easy in this paradigm, but it's a lesson and a rule you can apply everywhere.
So that's one of the points that I teach. Actually, that's a chapter in my first book, The Power of Influence. It's funny you say that. That is such a key thing, because ultimately when you think about it, leadership, really, it's not about you, it's about the people that you lead.
Right.
Sales is not about you, it's about your customers.
Right.
Influence is not about you, it's about the people that you're influencing. If you're telling a story, if you're giving a presentation, it's about your audience. And we screw it up so often because we think it's all about us. And our ego comes into it, and we do it for the wrong reasons. Our motives and our motivation in terms of why we're doing it comes across to people, and we come across as ingenuine. You know, we're just not the kind of people they want to connect with. So I completely agree with that philosophy.
That's fantastic. So let's talk about the new book. The title is The Power of Storytelling, subtitled The Art of Influential Communication. Talk about this concept of storytelling, because it sounds like that's really kind of coalesced very clearly in your mind. Why an entire book? See if we could get a shot of the cover there real quick. Why an entire book on this particular title?
So the truth is, people love stories in every medium. I mean, think about it. You just gave a great what did you do? You told some stories. That's what you did, though. And that's what people want to hear. That's what people respond to. Think about your best friends that you want to hang out with at the party. They're the best storytellers. They're funny. They're engaging. They're something captivated. It's attractive. Now, you take that into a business realm. And salespeople are great storytellers. The great salespeople are.
Yes.
Great leaders are great storytellers. They cast a vision for their people that causes them to buy into it. Great teachers tell stories that cause students to actually remember the content of what they're sharing. And great speakers tell stories in a way that emotionally engages their audience, so that that actually moves people. I've loved stories my whole life. My kids, I have young kids, they love stories. Every night is story time with Dad. I mean, it's what I do for a living, so we have fun with it. Right. But they love it, and you can teach great lessons through it. And I've just found in the process of me being in front of so many people in a sales capacity, in a leadership capacity, as a keynote speaker, it's the stories that really move people. And so I started to dissect it, and I looked out there, and there's other books on storytelling. Most of them talk about storytelling's great, and they might tell a couple of great stories. And I wanted to create what I was looking for, what I found bits and pieces of all over, is how do you actually craft a story? What's the step-by-step? How are the tangible how-tos? What do you really do to be able to be a great storyteller? Because I think it's something everyone can learn.
It's interesting that you say that, because to me, a lot of sort of creative skills, whether it be like the three-eared dogs who have great mastery of their instruments, or someone who understands mathematics very well, somewhere in there, there's a talent thing that, you know, as they always say, you can't coach talent. And yet, what you're saying is, you can teach this talent for storytelling. What's the essence to you in terms of taking somebody who doesn't get it or doesn't have a natural inclination toward it and matriculating them toward the goal line? As they
well,
say
I think that some people have a little bit more natural, you know, ability to present their ideas, to think clearly, to articulate what they're going to say. Absolutely, some people are born with that a little bit more than others. But any talent can be developed if you work at it. Now, ultimately, I can walk through and you can read the book and you can learn the science, the structure, some of the techniques on how you do it. But the art, that's done when you go out and you practice and you find your own voice. It's through presenting over and over and over again. Right. You know, they say that to master something, it takes 10,000 hours, right? And ultimately, for me, that's been my last 10 years. To master what I do, to master this idea, that's my 10,000 hours that I put in over the course of time to be able to do that. And as you start to practice it, everybody can get better in certain areas. And knowing some of those simple techniques can make a huge difference. Just how to bring an audience into your story, how to make them relive it as opposed to just you retelling it. Those little ideas make a huge difference.
Very cool. So where can folks find the book? Where can they find out more about Ty Bennett?
The book, well, both you can find on my website. LeadershipInc.com is the name of my company, leadershipinc.com, and you can find it on Amazon or other places as well.
Fantastic. Well, I like the size. I was think the tactile experience of interacting with a book. I think the size is really good, and it feels like something that you just want to...
That one's yours, my friend.
Right.
You enjoy.
Oh, thanks, man. I'll have to get an autograph
All
after
right,
we get
sounds
out of
good.
here. Ty, nice to see you. Great to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Let's stay in touch and come back again.
Sounds good.
All the best. All right, quick break. Oh, I'm sorry. The Power of Storytelling, leadershipinc.com. Go check it out. He's a fascinating, engaging guy. Quick break, more show right after this. Please stay tuned to Park City Television.